So was it a good trip over?
This is fantastic. Also, you owe me 20,000 yen.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's you know, in this economy, it's pretty.
It's spiraling out of control.
It's pretty steep. Yeah, I'll give you a receipt. I got a pen.
Brilliant! You can write me a receipt.
I can sign your honorable receipt.
And could you play me one of your tapes, one of your cassette tapes?
Yeah, I can. I'm surprised it doesn't have an 8-track in it.
Yeah, I was a little bit annoyed that it doesn't have a mini disc.
Oh yeah.
I'd like a mini disc.
This is very Japanese.
Yeah.
This is so cool, man.
Isn't it?
What's the top speed of this?
I don't know.
It's not 180k.
No, I think the top. Judging by the gearing, I'm going to say you'd be lucky to get 100 miles an hour out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be screaming.
Yeah, you would.
This thing does not make a lot of power.
But the acoustics in here, it's a very, very quiet car. I actually did a DB test versus a new Rolls Ghost, and this has a quieter idle than a Rolls Ghost. I kid you not.
Well, I appreciate you, letting me drive this thing. You know what the next part is?
What's that?
Nürburgring.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Oh, I was glad that you didn't say fake taxi.
No,
Because I've had a few people mention that.
Well, that's for. That's for the other site that you're a part of.
That's the other side of the internet that I'm not involved with.
Uh-huh.
And I will not be responsible for.
Oh my, there's so much turn.
Yeah, there's loads. Yeah. And this is lowered, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah, this does all right.
Is this like 5 turns lock to lock?
Yeah, probably. You wouldn't want to drift it, put it that way.
Or maybe you would.
Or maybe, yeah, you just have to have like one of those knobs on the steering wheel, like a forklift truck.
Uh-huh. Yeah, wonderful.
Cedric. Oh, I forgot to slide my seat out. Oh.
Oh yeah, you have to be in maximum comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ever so sorry, Freddie. I've got a dicky knee. Could you possibly open the door for me? I can't do it myself.
Yeah. And I know it gets hard. There you go.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you not going to pay me?
No, I'm going to run really slowly.
Okay.
Away. Chair awaits. Actually more comfortable than it looks.
Oh, that's a good chair.
It's seen some action, that chair. Not like that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, not like that. Not like that, please. Welcome to a special Idle Chat edition of the Late Break Show, where it's all about him. Freddie, aka Tavarish. Yeah, he's come from the States. We're not in his garage, we're actually near my office, and we're going to talk to you all about your incredible life with cars. So This is the Late Break Show. Welcome. Firstly, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and it's a wonderful day. The sun is out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Give it an hour.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. No, dude, this has been surreal. I mean, I've been watching you for a very, very long time. The Fifth Gear days. It's really nice to meet you and meet your team and be here. And this chair is lovely. So thank you so much.
Well, the thing is they are. I have a love-hate relationship with the chairs. Mm-hmm. They used to be a solid object that didn't dismantle.
Okay.
I used to have to borrow a van or a really large car to transport them to people's garages, and I got frankly fed up with it. Mm-hmm. So I had a professional woodworking guy saw them up, so they bolt together. So I can flat pack them and put them in a small car.
So just turned it into IKEA furniture.
It's basically,
Okay.
it looks, yeah, it is like a sort of, but artisan flat pack. So yeah, so the previous victims of the chair include your friend Mike Brewer, Ant Anstead. We've had Shmee 150, Tim Burton. We've had a number of people. I'll put a playlist above our heads, but the idea about the chat really, I suppose, is to just to talk about your life with cars, and I guess and around what you've created.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've met, isn't it?
Yeah.
Normally I've met somebody before we sit down and do this chat. You're not the sort of person I expected you to be.
Oh, well, here's the question. So what did you expect me to be?
I suppose when you contacted me and you said, I'm coming to the UK, I'm free for a bit, it'd be great if we could meet up. I thought, wow, I wasn't expecting it because I thought you were the busiest man in the world with all the content you're making. And I don't know, I just thought you probably wouldn't have the time of day for someone like me. I don't know
What are
why.
you, nuts?
I feel bad. I feel bad saying this now. I'm just being honest.
I make YouTube videos. Come on. It's like, listen, my schedule can open up for a lot of people.
I'm just really pleased. So if you're watching this and you aren't sure who Freddy is, you need to go on the Tavarish. Well, you've got 2 channels.
Yeah, I have my main channel, and then we have Tavarish, which is just stuff that is would usually go on the cutting room floor, but I still think it's interesting, and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have those 2 channels, and I buy these really bad condition cars. I'll just put it that way. And then I modify them, fix them up. Usually don't sell them. I just keep them.
Yeah.
Because I'm no good at selling. I'm not a Mike Brewer.
Oh right,
So,
okay.
yeah.
So you avoid the whole embarrassment of selling.
Yeah, there's no wheeling or dealing. It's just buying really bad, like, it's just bad financial decisions. That's my entire channel.
What I like about it is because it's fundamentally a constructive act. What
Yeah.
you're doing. I mean, bloody hell! I'm going to be honest. Some of the projects, and I suppose at the top of this, we've got to talk about the McLaren P1.
Sure.
Because that's probably the boldest modern car resurrection project I know of.
Well, you mispronounced stupidest, but that's
Yeah.
That's
I mean, so the whole footage of that car went viral when there was that huge, what do you call it, hurricane?
It was a hurricane. Yeah.
And it was a Florida-based car.
Yeah. So it was in Fort Myers in Florida, and Hurricane Ian, I believe, in September of last year. There was like 9 foot of storm surge. So this car was in its garage.
Yeah.
And the storm came in. It ripped the car out of the garage with the floodwaters. And then it went 500 yards down the street. It was completely submerged. This is salt water, and this is a hybrid hypercar. The car was purchased like 10 days prior to the storm hitting.
Was
for
it?
$2 million.
I didn't know it was that. The owner had it that.
Yeah, he literally just got it.
So he didn't really drive it much
No,
before.
no, not at all.
It might have gone further floating.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the car had 315 miles on it. Had like delivery miles. So it was supposed to set the record for P1s in terms of pricing.
Yeah.
And I think it no-sailed on Bring a Trailer for 1.57 or something, and then he bought it for 2.
Whoa.
But yeah, I mean that's numbers that's way above my pay grade. So it's not like I can afford these cars. But when I saw the car a few months later listed on a auction site, on a salvage auction site,
Yeah.
then it sold once, but no sailed because there was a reserve.
Yeah.
So it went for 400, and then it went again for like 398, and then the third time they put a buy it now on it for like 600 grand.
Yeah.
And for 600 grand, it's I don't think it was worth that.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody was willing to pay that.
Yeah.
But then another thing happened. They lowered it to 575. And then
Bargain.
It's a bargain. Yeah, I'd be stupid not to get it. At this point, I'm a big believer in like the universe is calling to me. You know, and some cars, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna at least try to get this. And then I asked one of my friends who's fairly well off, and I said, "Hey, do you know anyone who would loan me $575,000?" And he goes, "Actually, I do." So he, and like years ago, started a bank, like for fun, because that's what they do.
Hang on, how do you start a bank?
I don't know. I don't know, but he did. So he started a bank, and I then got a loan for $575,000 from that bank in like 4 days.
Gosh.
And then I'm like, okay. So I paid the money for the car.
Yeah.
And then I went to pick up the car. I hadn't seen the car, by the way. I hadn't, like usually you want to inspect something that you spend $500,000 on.
Hell yeah. So that's
but
the most expensive car you've ever bought by a country mile.
it's the most expensive thing I've ever bought, period.
What,
You
more
know?
than a house?
Well, I mean, the house is mortgaged,
Yeah.
So like I've never plopped down 600 grand for a house. But like I did that for a car. And what's funny is like I didn't have to tell this bank anything about, I didn't have to like, well, it's a car and, like I told them like it's a car that was in a flood. It doesn't run. I don't know when I'm going to get it running, but I have a YouTube channel that does this. And they were like, yeah, no problem.
And it's fairly well documented how it got
Yes.
damaged.
Yes, it's very well done. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, I don't think I'd try, if there was any element of fraud, they'd be like, hey, so I saw this TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this your car? Yeah. So
I still can't believe it. I remember just having hazard warning lights on.
Yeah.
And it was just gracefully bumping its way down
yeah,
the road that was
Yeah.
a river.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it was like screaming for help.
Help me.
Yeah, help
Help
me.
me.
Yeah. So I buy this thing sight unseen, and when I get there, it looks. I mean, the pictures that I saw were from 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Apparently they cleaned this, but like I was pulling twigs out of it and stuff. It was really bad. The car wasn't moving because the parking brake was still stuck on,
Oh gosh.
and one of the tires was flat, and there was a hole in a wheel because when they tried to put it on the tow truck,
They chained it.
yeah, they chained it, and it has these super light aluminum wheels, like they're really thin, and he just punctured a hole through the wheel.
I saw that footage and I was thinking, what kind of a monkey would do that?
Yeah, they don't care.
You just use a strap,
Yeah,
weapon.
absolutely. Yeah, you just use a strap.
I mean, this
but-
is a hypercar.
Yeah. It's like it's still like you wouldn't do that to a Civic,
No, I wouldn't do that to any of my old shooters over there. No.
Yeah, so it was really sorry for itself. I mean, we got it on the trailer. It still had seawater in the headlights, and we opened up the trunk for the first time.
Yeah.
Because I had the key, and like you can open it up with the key, and it still had water in there. We took out the tow hook, and we ended up using a come along to put it on the trailer. So, as soon as I got it back, then we started doing a bunch of like, we started taking it apart.
Yeah.
And realizing that there's a good like 200 kilos of sand in it, sand and everything else.
There's no way that you weren't terrified. You're ambitious and you're optimistic, of course, because you have to be.
So before the P1, I also did a McLaren 675 LT, and we had that down to the carbon tub. So I was fairly familiar with how McLaren puts together cars.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big of a deal for me, but it was just so much more. Like the P1 has so many more components.
Yeah.
Than any other McLaren. It has like hydraulic lines and hoses and cables and wires and
High voltage.
Yeah, the high voltage stuff, the hybrid drive assembly, and like all that stuff is like that was new to me.
Oh, God.
So and we have to there's no factory service manual that I can get for this car.
No.
So I had to basically take things apart, take a billion pictures, see what bolts go where. And then after a while, I'm like, I'm just not putting these bolts back because they're in such bad condition. So I'm just going to get all new hardware. So it doesn't really matter. Like I just, that we like categorize them. But we did, we took apart the car quite a bit in the first like 2 weeks. And then, we took the battery out, which was completely toast.
Yeah. Seawater.
Oh yeah. It had a really big fire.
Okay.
Inside the battery casing. It's all carbon fiber.
Yeah.
So the car held it fine. It didn't have, the interior smelled a little bit like electrical fire, but it wasn't too bad. As soon as we took the battery out, I'm like, oh man, this thing was mad.
Well, I feel like we need to rewind a little bit because the P1 is the sort of, it's ongoing right now.
Yeah.
And this is not a 2-week job.
No, it's not a, it's not an episode of, whatever Discovery Channel show where like 45 minutes you go from junkyard to SEMA. Like there's a lot of work here. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess every single episode that you're doing, and they're quite detailed, people are really, they're on this journey with you.
I hope so, yeah.
This is, because, a lot of modifying of modern cars, sometimes I can take or leave it. But this is a proper resurrection. Like, not many other people would embark on this.
But you know what's funny? A lot of people actually said this. They're like, well, why are you modifying it? You're not gonna. Basically, you're harming the resale value of the car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that the flood did that. Like the flood did most of the harm. I feel like anything I do,
I think you're all right.
Yeah, I think I'm all right.
You're, unless you give it to will.i.am or somebody like that who would reshell it with,
I
don't know, an AMC Pacer or something.
Yeah, make it look like a Mack truck or something.
Yeah, it would just be really horrific.
Yeah.
So you use the experience of the McLaren 675 LT that you rebuilt, which I guess is a good basis for the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
But can we go back to the sort of the beginning of Freddy's life?
Sure.
Like school. You're a schoolboy.
Yeah.
Was there a car thing there, or where was your career path? Where did you think your career path was going to go?
So I was always into cars. I loved planes as a kid. I loved, anything that moved. And it was I played with a lot of Legos. So taking things apart, putting them back together again. I remember, my parents got me a Lego like train set when I was 8. And I like my mom thought I was about to have a heart attack. Like I had such a
The most exciting.
Yeah, the most excited I've ever been in my life. And from there it just like I always loved to take things apart and put them back together again.
Yeah.
My first car was a 1998 Nissan Maxima.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
I wrote down about the Maxima. Yeah, I was going to talk to you about the Maxima.
Yeah, it's a really good car. I mean, if you want, I could wax poetic about this Maxima. It's they called it a 4-door sports car.
What was the?
Yeah, the 4DSC.
That's right.
That's right,
absolutely. I didn't realise that until I watched your car trek thing.
Yeah, it's a little cheeky, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's a front-wheel drive car. It's like a 4-door sports car. I was like, they make 4-door sports cars. They're called BMW M5s.
Yeah, they're just called saloon cars.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, no, but this is a 4DSC, my friend. But it had really good power to weight. It's about 2,900 pounds, which is about like 1,200 kilos.
Yeah.
And it had 190 horsepower, but 205 torque from a V6.
Yeah.
Available with a manual, so it was pretty quick. So I did what every teenager does, and is basically make the car undrivable with like modification.
Of course.
So the first
you were 17?
I was like 18. Yeah.
18. Yeah.
First thing I did with the car is, I had this, I put like 2 big subwoofers in it. Didn't really know what I was doing. But like the first major real modification I did to the car was a manual conversion.
Yeah.
Car was automatic when I got it. And ended up converting it from a parts car that I got.
Yeah.
With like this $30 set of tools that I bought. And it was just like, now I have a manual car. And it was like this freedom that I've like, first of all, having a manual car, like in America, is like, all right.
It's a statement thing, isn't it?
I know how to drive stick.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm a good driver. And that doesn't track. But I used to do things like I would try to race people on the highway. I mean, really stupid teenager stuff, And I think I was doing like 130 on the highway. And in a Maxima, it takes 3 years to get to 130. It's like you're there and like the next presidential election comes up. It's so like your foot is welded to the floor.
It's just creepy.
Yeah. It's just, it does not move. It's like incremental. It's glacial.
So you manual swapped it without any like help from, I don't know, family or anything like that?
No, it was me and like 2 other friends. and we manual swapped it using a tutorial online, which was like halfway written. And then we figured it out. I'm a big, I mean, it's a cliche, but like visual learner. You know, like
Yep.
I need to see how things work. Like most people are visual learners to an extent, but it's like that's the only way I learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started doing that on the Maxima, and then that grew into, you know, I did an engine swap on it, so we went from a 3.0 to a 3.5. Oh
Wow.
boy, I mean we're talking big power now, you know. So it was
23 horsepower or something.
well, it went from like 190 to like 255 or something.
Okay.
So it was good, but like 255 if it was in the stock car, not if it was, you know, not 255 in an untuned, you know, haphazardly put together 98 version. So like I don't know how much power it actually had. It certainly felt a little bit more, you know. I remember calling. Oh my God, this is really bad. So I called, I think it was like Sport Compact Car or some magazine,
Yeah.
and I was trying to pitch them on this car. I was like, I have this car. It has a 3.5 where a 3.0 used to be. And I'm like, this thing, you know, I have all this modified, and they were like, yeah, that doesn't sound very good.
We're not.
Yeah, it's like we're not interested in that at all.
And how? This is when you were like still 18, 19.
Oh yeah. Because I'm like, I want to get, you know, trying to figure out like, how do I get like sponsors, or like how do I get my name out there? Because I think my car is really cool.
Yeah.
And I bet you they get calls like that all the time from people that's like, hey, I got this Integra and it has a GSR swap and blah blah blah. Like I think they're just like, listen, kid.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. Like he was nice. He wasn't a jerk to me, but like he was like, yeah, I don't think that's anything we want to talk about.
So you're still at college, right, or something?
Yeah.
And what are you good at school and college? What?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely not. I mean, school was. I didn't like school at all. I think I finished with you know, like a marketing degree, but it doesn't, like I was already like I was working at my dad's insurance agency.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that very much. And what I did on the side was I would do car work for people on the forums, like automotive forums.
Yeah.
So Infiniti G35, 350Z, Maxima, Lexus forums, that sort of thing. So I would do like suspension installs, you know, for $80, and like an engine swap for $600.
Really?
Yeah, and
just at home.
Yeah, just in my parents' driveway. And as you can imagine, it's pretty thankless work. And if I got hurt, that's it. You know, I can't make any money.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't really making any money anywhere. Like an engine swap, it would take me like a week and a half, but it's like $600. And like, but I thought if I had $600, like how am I going to spend all this money?
Yeah.
Like it's so much. It's so much money. I'm loaded. You know, I have hundreds of dollars.
How many years between that and spending nearly 600 grand on a seaworthy P1?
Well, I mean, I was what, like 18, 19, 20, and then, you know, 16 years goes by, and now it's like, yeah, you can actually spend some money. I mean, it's still the same mentality. Like
Yeah.
you're still, you know, you're still gambling.
You are.
I'm pretty risk averse, so then I decided, like, all right, the internet's a thing. There's a lot of people on the internet, so let's start going over here.
So you start documenting
Yeah.
the stuff you're doing on the drive.
Yeah. So I start documenting all that stuff. And at that point, I was also sort of buying cars, modifying them, and trying to flip them, because this is when I started watching Wheeler Dealers, and I'm like, I could do that. Turns out I can't. Yeah, because it's a show, and also I'm not very good at any of this. So, but I had a bunch of these cars, and you know, I'd buy like an old BMW M3, or you know, like a Honda Prelude or something,
Yeah.
and then I would try to flip them, and then I would just make like I would document them in articles.
You started your YouTube channel in 2006.
Yes, but I only had, you know, it was just to put up small videos of like my car not starting, or like me doodling on a guitar or something like that. It was not, you know, me trying to be a YouTuber, because that wasn't a thing back then.
No, because 06 was when YouTube started.
It started then.
Yeah.
So it was just, you know, like YouTube essentially, and I know a lot of people actually don't think about it like this, but it's home movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's just home movies taken to a different degree.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's starting to rain.
We have a bit of a changeable weather situation.
Yeah.
But let's hope it's not hurricane. You haven't brought some
Oh
sort
no,
of weird
no, no, no.
Floridian.
It's not windy or anything. I'm just more concerned about your camera equipment here.
Yes. I
but-
thought you were going to say leather on the chairs.
No, the leather on the chairs. I feel like this could take it. I feel like I feel like this is okay.
This has taken it.
Yeah.
Many times. I mean, yours is particularly bad. I've inadvertently given you the worst of the two.
No, this is fantastic.
But-
I like this. I could fall asleep right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had these a number of years.
As you can see, the British summer was being a bit of a git to us, so we took a rain check and I made Freddy a nice cup of tea. He likes tea, I don't. He has an Aston Martin, I don't. Maybe he's more British than I am.
The rain has gone, certainly for at least an hour, so that's okay.
Okay.
So we've come back out. One thing I wanted to say to you is when do you feel things hit the big time? The big time. It's not a very nice saying in some ways. It sounds a bit cheesy. But obviously you started doing YouTube, was it 2015? You started doing it properly.
Yeah. I started doing more full time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have imposter syndrome in which like I just think that nothing I do is ever really earned and it doesn't feel like anything. And you know,
Really?
yeah. But my channel had a lot of success after I did the first. I had a Lamborghini Gallardo that I rebuilt, and it was fire damaged, and it was like had manual and twin turbo, and it was the first of its kind on YouTube, where it was like this exotic car rebuild that I was rebuilding in my garage.
Yeah.
You know, there were some other rebuilds that were going on, but they were not to that like level.
Yeah.
And then my channel went from like 150,000 subscribers to like 550 in like a few months.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just took off. And I was struggling to get 100,000 views per video. Like 100,000 was like a really, really good day for me.
Yeah.
But then those videos were doing like 400 easy. Some of them are in the millions. So yeah, that was kind of like a wake up call that like, oh, maybe I can do this. But of course, what you do is like you oversaturate yourself, and then you try to put out way too much content and you burn yourself out really quickly.
That was another really important note, and I've asked this a couple of people before. Is like, certainly from my personal experience, becoming a YouTube content maker is very different to the stuff I did before, like on TV or as a print journalist. Have you fallen out of love with it?
I mean, there's times where, of course, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So there's times when you're just literally burnt out. You can't, if I go to my shop and, if I see another car again, I'm just going to scream. Because it becomes a source of anxiety for you, or like a source of stress.
Yeah.
And not the good kind of stress where it just motivates you. It's just like the kind of stress where you go like, I need some time. I need some time away from this so I can process things and get a little bit more perspective and then come at it with a clear head. Because right now, I'm looking at 10 cars that all need something.
Yeah.
And it's all content that I can do. I just don't, I can't, I don't have the strength to do this right now.
Yeah.
Especially, to be jovial on camera, or like to, be like, hey guys, today we're going to be doing this. Like, it's just, it comes off because people can tell when you're not being genuine.
Yeah.
If something's going on in your life or something happened, people have bad days.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad day, like on YouTube, you can't really have a bad day. Like you still have to take it in stride, and it's very, very limited.
Yeah.
But some people is like, hey, my life's falling apart. I got to make this YouTube video. I don't know what I'm going to do.
It's quite a tough ask.
Yeah.
Because you're not a trained mechanic.
No, not at all.
And is your background training in like videography or?
No.
So all the things you do for a job, you haven't had professional training in.
No, I mean, this is just I learned by doing, and I'm sure I'm doing a bunch of stuff wrong. Hopefully not on the mechanical front, because these are very expensive cars. But on the videography front and editing, all that stuff, like I've learned how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's only because that's what you have to do in a YouTube channel. Because I don't have, like, I never had the money to pay somebody else to do it. And also, in my mind, I need to understand a process in order to, you know, like, if let's say I had an editor or a videographer, I wouldn't know, like, you don't know what you don't know.
I can't. So you still do everything yourself?
Yeah.
Bloody hell! I'm going to quit. I have that complex that you were just talking about now, imposter syndrome, because I did a few videos of doing everything myself, and it just drove me into this sort of like downward spiral.
It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
I nearly imploded.
Yeah.
I am amazed and impressed.
Well, I mean, listen, don't, you know.
Because you're not just making a video about like dicking around, just running around, shouting, doing nothing. You're actually trying to put together a really complicated piece of machinery.
Oh yeah, I mean, you still have to fix the car at the end.
And there's
of
a
the day.
narrative that you have to
Yeah.
stick to. Because
Yeah,
that
you have to-
cars consist of 30,000 parts.
Exactly. And the thing that people may not understand about YouTube is that there's a lot of psychology in it. I tend to think about it in terms of like storytelling, you know, and I'm not super structured in that, like, I don't have everything scripted or written out or anything like that. But I do try to have bullet points
Yeah.
of like, here's the beats I want to hit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what do I want to have in the beginning of this to like get people interested? And then, you know, what's the pacing look like? Does this scene drag? You know, like I pay a lot of attention to things like that. You know, how can you fix like a bad bit? You know, if you're doing something, you go like, this doesn't work, but like it's necessary to the story. So how do I fix it?
Yeah.
So like, you know, do you skip over it with voiceover? Do you like, you know, do you inject other B-roll? Like there's so much you can do. And that's why I like doing the editing process, because it allows you to do those things, you know?
And that stuff, that attention to detail that you're obviously thinking about each time, to make it look easy, as you know, is actually really hard.
It is.
To
yeah.
keep that pace up of a video that you do, you know, to have a sort of energetic intro and then really decide where to deep dive on certain parts.
Yeah.
Do you have a team of people?
No, it's just me.
It really is just you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have my friend Jack, who helps me out with some stuff at the shop,
Yeah.
and also my friend Rex. But you know, other than that, you know, everything else is.
Do you have an agent?
No.
You know, someone that helps with the sort of commercial partnerships and stuff?
No.
No.
No. So when you go home, you have to then deal with all the, you know, the business side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've collaborated with some really, you know, pretty well-known YouTubers, and you know, your friends, and that you're in the UK because you've just done the show with Alex
Yeah.
Kersten, who's doing amazing things in,
Oh, yeah.
in the car world.
Fantastic guy. Yeah.
So, have you got like a dream of like a car that you want to buy next, or a thing that you want to do next, like a journey or a build or a?
So the thing with the next, you know, it's the McLaren P1 that I'm working on now, it's already like dream hypercar. Like I don't know if there's like so many levels above that.
No.
I think what people want to see is they want to see a challenge.
Yeah.
And the car has to be a challenge. So it doesn't have to be a hypercar. It could just be something that presents a challenge, and something that people can right away, you know, relate with.
Yeah.
So I have a few cars that I'm thinking to do after the P1. But right now, I mean, this is, again, I'm more of a dip beam guy. I'm gonna look at the P1. The thing that happens though is when you have a project like this, it opens up the doors to so many other things.
Yeah.
Somebody might go like, "Hey, I have this, you know, Bugatti Veyron that's, you know, just sitting there or whatever. You want it, you know?" And I go, "Yeah, sure, why not?" You know.
There was that one that was driven into the water.
Oh, okay. So
Surely you've got your eyes on that.
Okay. So.
Do you remember
The
that?
reason I got the P1 is because I couldn't buy that car. Yeah, so that Bugatti Veyron went into the Galveston Bay. For people that don't know what the story is, there was a Bugatti Veyron about 11 or 12 years ago. It was like one of the first like viral car videos. And you just see this Bugatti Veyron on the highway, and it just goes like full speed into the water.
Yeah, it just fades away and just goes.
Yeah.
It looks fake almost.
It does. But there's this giant splash, and like the person taking the video, they go, "I'm pretty sure that's a Lambo, dude." You know. So what happened was that car there was like this big insurance investigation, and the guy said, "Oh yeah, well, there was a pelican in the way, and I swerved to avoid it, and I went to the water." But obviously, the video showed that there's no pelican. He was just he just needed the money for the insurance, so he went to jail.
Shit.
Yeah, so he went to jail. The car was dismantled, and like it went through a bunch of people's hands, and then it sold for like $300,000 with like all the parts. Now, a few years ago, me and Ed Bolian, we went to Las Vegas, and we actually saw the car. So one of my friends owns it, and I was supposed to buy that car off of him, but like we couldn't reach a number. And like at that point, that number was like crazy, and like now the number is like more in tune with reality.
Yeah.
Because like now all those cars have kind of gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
But back then it's like, hey, I'm paying for a lot of money for this, this bucket of bolts. But it's very much the same as the P1.
Yeah.
It's salt water, and it went in there running.
Yeah,
so
that's a big difference.
that's
That's speed.
Yeah, at speed. But I actually saw the car a few weeks ago. We went to Vegas and saw the car. It's completely rebuilt. It still needs a few things, but it's like, it's a huge transformation. And in my mind, it's like the girl that got away.
Yeah.
You're always like, if she was my girlfriend, I'd treat her right. But that sort of gave me the fire that I needed to get that P1.
Yeah.
Because I thought to myself, like, all right, is this the same thing that just happened? If somebody else gets it, and
You're going to be annoyed.
yeah, I'm going to be
You'd
annoyed.
That
I'm
was
like,
my idea.
oh crap! Like I could have really capitalized on this.
Yeah.
Or if somebody gets it and then they like export it and then you never see the car again. Like I wanted to make this as public as possible so everybody could like share this experience with me.
It's because that the car, there's always a good backstory. The backstory is sometimes more important than the car.
Oh,
You just happen to have found an amazing car that everybody saw floating down the street.
Yes.
In an unfortunate situation. But you're trying to turn a negative into a positive by like saying this will drive again. This will live again.
Well, the thing that I thought about was, let's say in some time, like if I could actually afford one of these cars and I bought one for $2 million and it's the nicest one ever, has delivery miles, everything I do to that car would be making it worse. Every mile I drive, every time I sit in it, like it's just degrading it, making it worse, making it worth less. But now, everything I do to that car makes it better. It could not be any worse.
Yeah.
So like,
It's true.
Like literally everything I take, every morsel of sand I take off, it's just making the car better.
Yeah.
So then it's just like I'm rebuilding it from nothing.
Yeah.
So it just like it. What's great to me is when I first got the car and I put it on, put it in my shop. You could throw tools on, like this is a $2 million automobile. You could throw tools on it. I stood on it, like it's, you can lean on it. I don't care.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Like I always joke with my friends, they do something like, hey, watch the paint. It's like this thing's already trashed. Who cares?
Yeah. Like 8 years previous, it would have been at Pebble Beach or something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It would have been like an absolute showstopper.
But you mentioned Clarkson earlier.
Yeah.
And I know not that long ago you were saying hi to Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Have you sort of met all your idols? I mean,
Well, I'm here now with one of them.
I'm not an idol.
You absolutely are.
No.
You absolutely are. You were doing the thing when I was still, working on my Maxima. I would torrent episodes of Fifth Gear and Top Gear every week, and I would watch it every week religiously. It was a ritual for me.
How bizarre.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, you have achieved quite something. I mean, you're probably one of the biggest names in YouTube world.
That's weird.
What I like about it is it's not sort of needless destruction and shouting.
Yeah.
And as a father, I suppose my parental protection kicks in whenever I watch my kids looking at a YouTuber who's doing something which I'm just like, you're not learning a damn thing here.
Yeah.
They're not bringing anything to the party.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I get a bit like, come on.
Well, okay,
But-
so maybe I can. First, I'll address the meeting my car idols. I haven't actually met Clarkson, Hammond, or May, but May has roasted one of my cars on his on Drive Tribe. But
Yeah.
it's a car I bought it was a fake Bugatti Veyron made out of a Honda Civic, and it was like clearly a joke.
Yeah.
But
It was a tongue-in-cheek purchase.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You were the only person that was ever going to buy that.
Yeah, like it, and I I paid like $5,000 for it. It's like this thing wasn't worth $500, but I was like, for a video, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So so he sort of roasted it, and he was like, oh well, he looks very happy for himself, doesn't he? I'm like, it's a joke. Like I have nice cars, like but I would love to meet one of them just to see what they think of Car Trek. I don't know.
I think, well, we haven't talked about Car Trek. So how did Car Trek come about? And explain it quickly to people who might not have heard of it.
So Car Trek is like Top Gear, except without money and on YouTube. So that's me, Ed Bullion, and Tyler Hoover. We decided to go and do cheap car challenges, mainly as a way for us to, buy the cars that we want, like depreciated ones, and then just make a show about it, loosely based on those cars. But it's been really fun. We've made 10 series so far, and we've been all around the States. We haven't gone outside the States yet.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we really want to do UK, Europe, that sort of thing. But as you can imagine, the budgets. I mean, our Top Gear's or Grand Tour's catering budget is probably 4 times as much as we spend on the entire series.
But sometimes those constraints make it more. They force you to be more creative.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you get better things out of it ultimately.
Yeah, like there's stuff that like we have to do skits, or we have to do like these make commercials with like some props and things like that. And there are I like doing stuff like that because it forces me to think outside the box and also out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. I've found doing YouTube as a solo presenter on the channel, like you are, you kind of miss that office environment sometimes. So maybe Car Trek gave you that chance to feel like you were in a team again, when it's just you and a camera. A lot of the stuff you do is solo.
Yeah.
And it can be a sort of fairly lonely existence, even though you're famous. And you said it when we were sheltering from the rain. You go to an event and you meet 5,000 physical people who watch your channel and listen to your every word. And that's quite overwhelming. But yet you can look at your figures. I was just, last night I just wrote down here, 2.66 million subscribers, nearly 423 million views. I mean, these numbers are just...
Yeah.
I mean, the millions of views you get per episode on some of your stuff. That blimmin' Pimp My Ride van.
Yeah.
9 million, 10 million views.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, these are unbelievable. Mainstream TV would kill for these numbers.
Right. Yeah, I wish I got mainstream TV money.
Well,
it's like there's this disconnect here. It's like, who do I need to talk to?
There is a disconnect, but also, like you say, when you're on your own, it can feel quite strange because everybody knows you, but you don't know everybody.
Yeah, it's like the girlfriend with amnesia. Yeah. So they know everything about you, nothing about them. So it's just 50 first dates every day. Yeah. One thing that Doug DeMuro said is that like once you've reached like a certain level of like notoriety in an industry, like you can no longer be crappy to anybody.
Yeah.
Like you just can't be a jerk. That's it.
Yeah.
Because like, the second you are, then people go, oh, you know what this guy did at an airport? Yeah, he's changed. Or like, oh, my son just wanted an autograph, and then he just blew him off, and he said, and we all have bad days, and we all have like sometimes like you're rushing to get somewhere, or you're just at a show and you just want to take a piss.
Yeah.
So,
but your work ethic. You were saying that your sort of skills for what you do for a job, they didn't come from your parents.
Yeah.
But the work ethic.
Yeah.
Possibly did.
Oh yeah, for sure. So my parents came here with me in 1990 when the Soviet Union fell. So I was born in Russia. I lived there for a little while, and then we came here with like no money in our pockets. Lived in project housing, which is like your council, estates, and and my dad washed toilets, to make ends meet, and stuff like that. It's just
Grafted.
they grinded it out, and now my dad has a business. My mom is the head of a health department, and things like that are really they work for what they had.
Yeah.
So I wish I sometimes I
Your dad saying to you, "Tell me why you bought a completely broken McLaren, one of the most expensive cars in the world."
Well, no, I mean they get it. They understand. Before they might have asked me, it was like, "Oh, do you think that this is a good idea?" But they know, like, it's all a gamble, but it's like it's a calculated risk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've never thought, oh, what happens if I, if, like, is this gonna bankrupt me? Like, I never think about it in terms like that, because I always think, okay, listen, I have other cars. I have, this car could be, if I lose money, it's not going to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then, I'll have to, go off with my tail between my legs if I don't get this done. But,
yeah.
it'll at least be a really cool story.
Yeah.
So, I have to try. If it's available to me, then I have to try it.
Yeah. I noted that you've done 555 videos.
Yeah.
So I've written, surely you should celebrate with Tavarish buying a Subaru. Like a...
You know what? I actually thought about that, because I looked at my Social Blade thing. I'm like, 555. Oh, I should do a 555
rally
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you or make a statement and say, I'm going to do this, but you just got to wait. I've got other things going on. But to celebrate, I will go back in time and go, I made a plan on my 555th video in my head. I'm going to do a scoop.
I would absolutely love that. I have no idea when I'd have the time to do any of this.
No, you're a busy guy.
You know what I could do? I could wait till my 5,555 video, just lop off that last one. Yeah, there you go.
It's a lot of videos.
It is.
When you really sit there and you go, 555 videos.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how many videos I've done. I don't look. I'm too tired.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's time for that.
Well, yeah, yeah. So my favourite video I think that you've done, and I think it's one of the most popular videos you've ever done, is the buried Range Rover.
Really?
I just thought it was so fascinating.
So
the voyeur in me just couldn't get enough.
Yeah, so that is my most popular video. I think it has, I don't know, something, maybe 20 million views or less than that. I don't know.
Wow.
But so that took off, and I don't know why it took off.
People are voyeurs.
Yeah, but like, okay, so my friend Tyler Hoover, he always makes fun of me because it was his Range Rover that we buried.
Yeah.
Well, he buried it, and then after like a little less than a year, he uncovered it, and we were there, and basically I made a video and he made a video at the same time, and he got way less views, and he just calls me a view thief.
It's his car. He buried it.
Yeah, it's his car. But he was supposed to give it to me so I can fix it.
Yeah.
But like once we saw, like, there was apparently a lot of torrential downpour in the area. That whole season, and when we got the car, it's like it's up to the like completely filled with water. It was like there was nothing, water and like densely packed mud, and it smelled like crap, like actual crap. So, people, I obviously didn't get the car running. Like, we tried to do something, but like, there's no way you get that car running.
You'd have to just replace everything.
You'd have to replace everything.
Yeah.
So, I tried as much as I could. We power washed the interior, the exterior, and it was really, really bad. To the point where it was probably like like a biohazard. Like, you probably shouldn't be near that the stagnant water and all that.
Yeah.
It smelled terrible. But yeah, people were a little bit pissed off that, like, oh, you didn't get the car running. I'm like, dude, it was underground for a year.
Yeah.
And it was full of water. Like, and
it was a Range Rover anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
So it was always going to try and
in the
die.
best of times, it was an unreliable car.
I can say this as a British person. I'm allowed to say that. Is there a message that you'd like to give out to the viewers? Anything at all. It doesn't have to be car related, about like a good mantra for life or a mistake you've made that you're not going to make again.
I mean, me giving life advice, that's not a very good idea. But what I would say is, like, whatever you're passionate about, just make sure that you leave time for yourself, and like don't give it 150% of your energy and your attention. There are other things in life that matter. You know, home life and your mental health and all that stuff, super important. You know, a lot of people in their 20s, they neglect that stuff and they go, oh, well, I'll get to it later. And then later really never comes. And then you just become a person that's, you know, like a workaholic, and it just really takes a toll on everything. So I'd say strike a balance, like not a work-life balance, but a work-home balance, but more just mentally, like be aware that you have capacity for other things. And you know, don't neglect those things. Like if you have hobbies, you know, give it equal time. You know, do stuff you like to do. It just like resets your brain, and it's really healthy.
What do you do actually to reset that isn't car related?
I do this.
You just sit and chat to people.
I sit in chairs and I talk. Yeah, that's it. I mean, right now we're in like SEMA crunch time, so I don't really have any time for anything else. But usually, you know, I would take a vacation, go travel, see the world. I just did one where we went from London to Paris to Switzerland to Venice to Rome. It was lovely. You know, it's great. You know, you see a lot of the world, you get perspective. And it's also nice to not have to do anything for about a week.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you still read emails and like, you know, take calls and stuff, but you're not, you know, doing the grind of like turning on a camera and like, oh, this is good for content. Sometimes it's good to just experience things and not have to share it with everybody. You know?
Takes probably a stronger mind to decide, I'm not going to share this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put this on
You still
social
feel a little guilty. It could be like, oh, this would be so cool on my channel. But then you're like, you know what? It's okay. I can have this one.
Yeah. And I know you are really busy, so I want to say thank you for taking the time to come and chat
No
to
worries,
us
man.
on the show.
Listen, I got nothing to do until I remember that I do. So.
No, it's been really enlightening. I want to say thank you very much. And if you haven't watched Tavarish's content, go and have a look, because there's nothing like biting off more than you can chew when it comes to technology. I am terrified. I've got to say this. I am terrified watching some of those jobs that you do on the cars, because as someone that, you know, I'm not a formally trained mechanic, and I do barn findy stuff.
Yeah.
And the odd bit on my own project car on so much of a lower level. I feel pressure for you, and I didn't even know you till today.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you can overcome these hurdles, or the willingness to learn.
Yeah, I mean, it's just taking one step at a time, and you just have to adapt to the different things.
And if McLaren are watching this, because I know some people at McLaren do watch my channel, would you like some help at some point? Or some parts?
I mean, if they want to give me parts for free, sure, but you know what? I'm okay.
Oh, are you?
I'm all right.
He's okay.
I'm okay.
I'm
just kidding. I need help. I really need help. Yeah, no, please.
He's being a martyr now.
Please help.
Please contact
For the love of God, help me.
Thank you if you've enjoyed that episode of the Late Break Show, a special idle chat. I want to say thanks to Tavarish for sitting and exposing all. Not like that.
I can. That's the late break show.
Oh, that's the third.
That's after hours.
That's another channel after Tavarish.
Yeah.
It's the other one that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
So if you have a comment, I'd love to know some comments, because I can forward them to him. Put them in the thingy below. And if you haven't already subscribed, why not subscribe and have a look at his channel? I will put a link for his channel in the description. Cool. Cheers. Thank you.